Welcome back to the Barry Charles Footy Show. As you can see here, the Rabbitohs are going to be in the conversation. And this video is going to be about players that could return to make your team in 2023 be a premiership force. So let's get to it. And first off, we're going to look at the Canberra Raiders. Oh, the Canberra Raiders, where can they fill the squad? Well, obviously, first thoughts go to Jamal Fogarty. Should we replace him? You could argue they need someone at lock and Bradley Clyde. Where else do they need some players? You could argue fullback Brett Mullins could make a return. He would be high up on my list as well. And then, of course, the hooking position, Steve Walters. So where do you go? Let's have a look at where they really need to go to deliver a premiership. This is how I look at it. They want to look at it differently. But who out of these four players that could deliver them a premiership right here, right now, if they were at their full peak? Steve Walters, very solid. But if you look at who he's got in the halves pairing, to me, rules him out. Even though he would definitely improve the squad, no doubt about it. But I don't think he would be the one to deliver them a premiership. Brett Mullins, similar mould, even though I'd love to pick him. If I was going to pick who's my favourite player out of these ones, I would pick him, hands down. He would improve the squad, no doubt about it. His razzle-dazzle, but would he deliver him a premiership? Don't think so. Bradley Clyde, obviously very much a leadership type role here and would be very handy for this squad. But I think they do have quite a few leaders in the squad, so that's why I have ruled him out as well. Which leaves the coach / player for 2023, Ricky Stewart. Bring him back, Ricky. I think he will deliver you a premiership. There's obviously Mal Meninga as well. We could have had him in the conversation. But to me, Ricky Stewart is the one. He is the one for my straight into halfback. He just go in there, direct this team around. And with Ricky Stewart in this team, they could win the comp. With the forward pack they got, they could win the comp with Ricky Stewart. So that's why I would pick Ricky Stewart in my team for the Canberra Raiders to improve them in 2023. Now let's have a look at the Rabbitohs. The good old Rabbitohs. There's quite a few on this list here for the Rabbitohs. Obviously, Lachlan Ilias. Would you swap him for Aaron Reynolds? Would you swap Cody Walker for someone like a Owen Craigie? Do they need a bench utility in Craig Wing? Obviously, the halves pairing, you can also look at Noel Goldthorpe as well. He was a very good player for. And then also, you could argue, you want to have two stripe weapons here? Have Alex Johnson and Nathan Merritt on the other wing, or they'll be just try scoring machines. And then obviously the great Greg Inglis, who could play either centre, wing, six, whatever you like. So, again, as we look at premierships, who can win you a premiership? Let's go through them. Nathan Merritt, he can definitely score you a lot of tries, and he'd be high up there, but they already have Alex Johnson, and they can't win a premiership. So Nathan Merritt would help, but I don't think it'll win you a premiership. Noel Goldthorpe, very good player, but I think Adam Reynolds is better, so that's why I've left him out. Owen Craigie, he was a very interesting player at 5'8", or lock. He was very entertaining when he played for the Rivers and the Knights. So I'd love to see him in the team for his entertainment factor, but not for me. Obviously, Adam Reynolds. A lot of people say he's the obvious selection, but he didn't really deliver them a premiership. He only had one premiership, and he only won that with the gun player that I'm going to say is the one that's going to get it. Adam Reynolds, to me, he would improve the squad, but not for me. Craig Wing, he was just about my top pick because I think they certainly need a number 14, and he would really improve the squad and have the cover to play the halves position. Well, we probably would go straight into halfback, to be honest, with the squad. But for me, I'd rather have him in the hooker role, which is an option on the bench. But question marks over he could win in the premiership. The only player in this team that can eliminate them from a preliminary final to the top of the, and off, and obviously Sam Burgess was another option here, but he would be in the list as well of players to pick from. Clearly, Sam Burgess. Yeah, did I forget about you, buddy? Maybe, but to be honest, to me, the one and only player that would deliver this team a premiership and add to the rest of the days of Latrell Mitchell was Greg Inglis. Where would he play in the squad? Well, with the squad currently, he would play centre, or you put Latrell Mitchell at centre and put him at fullback. Whatever you want to do there, to be honest. Either way, probably on what I've seen, maybe Greg Inglis would go back to fullback and let Latrell Mitchell just do what he does at centre, because Greg Inglis can do a little bit more running. So I would go for Inglis at fullback, Latrell Mitchell, and it'd just be a devastating team. Absolutely. If Greg Inglis is in the team, in any team, they're definitely a premiership threat. Next on our list here is the mighty Roosters. Really, most people say Roosters might be the most stacked team in the competition, but I'm not convinced there. But who could you bring in to improve this roster? Well, they've got some pretty good second rowers, but Sonny Bill obviously just brings professionalism, absolute star power, and definitely can improve the squad. This is a tough selection, I tell you what. This is the toughest selection of nearly all of them for mine. Brad Fittler, he can play a lot of roles, centre, 5'8", lock. So he would be a definite player that you could bring in. And the centre is a place that they could do with another good player there. So he's really highly up in the ranks here. Obviously, they're just retired Boyd Cordner, his leadership, and he's an outstanding player. But again, they do have some decent second rowers, so is he really needed? The Morris twins, again, they're in there in the centre pairing and wing. And they're definitely in the conversation as well. And Cooper Cronk did deliver them a premiership. So that's going to be an interesting couple of premierships, and it's interesting to see what happens with this selection. So if I'm going to have to select one, this is tough. Very tough. But the ones that I'll eliminate just straight off the bat here, Boyd Cordner, even though he was a captain and everything, played for Australia and everything, him and Sonny Bill Williams, I cut them both out because I just think they've got enough second rowers. Even though these two are better than these second rowers, but these second rowers are not bad players, so really they don't need that. The Morris twins, although they're very good players, to me, I don't see them as the superstar players. So to me, they're not going to deliver them a premiership, which leaves either Fittler or Cooper Cronk. Now, it's hard for me to say it. No. But I think this guy is probably not going to be an immortal, but I think he should be. Cooper Cronk. He is a winner. Now, I mean, Cameron Smith's probably the best player to play the game, but he will not be able to do what he's done without his lieutenant Cooper Cronk by his side. Now, and Cooper Cronk won premierships everywhere, even though he might have lost a couple at the Storm, but he won premierships, and then he moved later and won premierships straight away at the Roosters. As soon as he's gone, they're gone back to the pack. So Cooper Cronk is my selection here for you fans here at the Roosters. I think if you put him at 7, and you can move Sam Walker either to 6, or you keep Luke Keary, who already did a job there, and Sam Walker's a bench utility player, bring in some razzle dazzle, this team will be an instant premiership winner. I really do think if Cooper Cronk's in the team, I think they will beat Panthers. On the squads for this season, I think if Cooper Cronk's in this team, they win the comp. But without Cooper Cronk, it's just whether or not they have the leadership to deliver, and Luke Keary has to be their leader. Sam Walker will give you some razzle dazzle, but the leader, Luke Keary, needs to come back. Obviously, that's leaving out Brad Fittler, and Brad Fittler could play a beautiful role at the centre. He could play 6, he could play lock, but they're pretty much covered there outside of centre. But the centres, do they win you a premiership? Not really. So that's why I've gone for Cooper Cronk. And now last but not least, the Storm. The Melbourne Storm. How do we go about this team who just missed the top 4 and then they just crashed out straight away. Can they improve? And well, the list here is just outstanding of players they could pick from. But obviously you got Greg Inglis, you got Cameron Smith, you got Billy Sather, you got Cooper Cronk, you got Glenn Lazarus. These are my 5. You could add another 5 to this list, but these are the 5 guns. The 5 guns here. Greg Inglis, Pappenhausen at a fullback, but he's injury prone, so having him, he would be a walk-up start at centre. 6 they're covered, so really, well, Greg Inglis, he would either be, you could probably put him in lock 2 if you really want to push it. Centre for Greg Inglis. Would that win them a comp? I'm not so convinced with the Melbourne Storm if Greg Inglis comes in, they win them a comp. If you maybe put him at fullback, then yes. You put him at fullback, yes. But they already got Pappenhausen there. At his best, they don't really need Inglis. Even though Inglis would be good for any squad. Don't get me wrong. He's a better player. But in terms of the actual squad they got there, he's probably not the one you need. Cameron Smith, well, he's the GOAT, but they haven't got a bad player in the replacement in Harry Grant. So the question marks whether you would want to select Cameron Smith for this squad. Same with Billy Sather, but like Greg Inglis, he's a bit of one-trick pony. Clearly he'd improved the team, but would he win them a comp? That would be debatable. Cooper Cronk, and while I've already picked him before, I did seriously consider picking him here as well, but they've got a good enough halves pairing for mine to win the comp. So the player I'm choosing out of this lot is Glenn Lazarus. They're just missing their leader. Christian Welsh is a good leader, but the other one would be Glenn Lazarus, and he would be the hard player that they need to get this rest of this team going, because the forward pack for me is just a little bit light on experience. They got some good signings in Tarek Sims and then and Tua Kamamia, so they do have options there. But yeah, just for me, Glenn Lazarus. I think if he was in the squad, you would be saying they're back to premiership. For mine, I just think a leader in this forward pack, this is what they lost. They desperately need a leader in this pack. They lost 3 of them. And the fact that they've signed Tarek Sims, which is good, but they need a lot more than that. So Glenn Lazarus will be my pick out of that squad. Thank you very much for joining me at the Barry Charles Footy Show. Remember to subscribe and smash that like button. And we will be back very shortly for more videos just for you on the greatest game of all, Rugby League.